Hello, Sweet Tooth here. I hope your day is going well. Let's make sure this is working first. Alright, it looks like it's working. Shut. Nope. Nope. Didn't mean to do that. I'm gonna play some more of Katawa Shoujo. Alright, stop messing it up. Which one did I leave off on? That's nice of it to highlight which one's the latest. Alright, the students roll into class for the Saturday morning session, each and every one of them sporting the tired eyes of people who have worked through the night. With only a day left to prepare, I suppose it's not so surprising. Thankfully, we only have to suffer through classes until the lunch break, and then our time is our own. Mutao lurches into class in a tired stagger. I suppose students aren't the only people here that enjoy their late Friday nights. Without saying a word, he scrawls some page and question numbers on the board and slumps down at his desk. It's completely atypical behavior for him, but it appears that no one in the class is going to call him out on it. Wouldn't Shaizun call him out for it, though? Wordlessly, the students shuffle their textbooks into position and get to work. Not wanting to break the trend, I do the same. Fatigue has made the class antisocial. Not a peep is heard among the ruffling papers. That can be partly attributed to the two empty seats beside me. For some reason, Misha and Shaizun aren't present, probably doing council work for the festival. It's very quiet without Misha present. I wonder if she was born rowdy as she is, or if she is making up for Shaizun's lack of voice. Nikai, can I speak to you for a moment? I'm so engrossed in thinking about Misha that I don't even notice Mutao approaching my desk. Sure, what's this about? It's probably better if we speak outside the classroom. Dun dun dun. Alright, something about this doesn't sound too good, but I stand up and follow him out into the hallway. Mutao stands in the hallway, scratching his head as he works out what he is trying to say. Not knowing what is going on, I sat silently. Or I wait silently. So, tell me, how are things? Things? I expected Mutao to be a little vague, but this is pushing the limits. You know, things. You've had a week to settle in now, so how are things? Fine, I guess. I see, and how is your condition? The pause before condition seemed a little unnecessary. Haven't had any problems so far. A brief shimmer of relief passes across Mutao's face. Good, good. That's good. 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 The school nurse was a little concerned that you might have been pushing yourself a bit too hard. He asked me to keep an eye on you when he couldn't. That makes sense. I'd ask that you don't blow us off so freely. As much as we try to give you the level of education that you would get at a normal school, you have to realize that you have limits. Our goal is to make sure that you know where those limits are and how to maximize your potential with them. Do you follow me? I don't plan on doing anything stupid. Well, that's a start, I guess. So then on to my next question. How are you finding your studies? I understand you were laid up for a while. We're not too far ahead, are we? I don't really think so. I tried to keep up when I was in the hospital, so it hasn't been too hard. Mutao taps his chin and raises an eyebrow as he absorbs this information. Is that so? I suppose there are still students out there who realize the importance of learning. I wouldn't go that far. I was only trying to keep myself occupied in my little life support prison. Well, yeah. You've got to keep up with these things, right? That's exactly it. One wrong move in this world and you're left behind, right? Right. Wouldn't want that to happen. No. No, you wouldn't. Every week there's a new scientific discovery. Most of them mean nothing to the layperson, but any one of them could be the key to the next big thing. I'll keep that in mind. It's obvious that Mattel's serious talk is over and he's gone back to his standard slightly scatterbrained approach to life. I think in hindsight that I prefer him this way. He's slightly more predictable in his unpredictability. Well then, I think that's all I really had to say. Let's get back inside, shall we? My relief at that suggestion is insurmountable. Sure, you're the boss, right? Mattel pauses for a moment. I don't think any of my students have ever said that to me before. For an instant I consider replying to this, but something deep within me tells me to shut my mouth and get back into the classroom. A few of the students jump at the sound of the door, rapidly trying to pretend that they are working on the questions on the board. Some don't even bother, their heads slumped on the desk as they nap. Thankfully, it would appear that Mattel does not even notice them. He returns to his desk and retrieves a scientific journal from one of the drawers. I guess I got to him there. The class returns to the near silence that Mattel and I left it in before our chat. Mixed feelings of tiredness and anticipation buzz around the room. Everyone here is either waiting for a chance to rest or the chance to get their last-minute preparations underway. The clock on the wall slowly ticks the remaining class time away until finally the bells cry out into torment. Before you all leave, I expect the answers for those problems by Monday. The class sighs as one, instantly regretting slacking off, but still acutely aware of the more pressing issues at hand. The classroom empties in a blink as everyone rushes to their last-minute festival preparations. Apart from me, Hanako is the only one left, obviously waiting for Lily. It's weird that Lily comes all the way to our classroom to pick her up. I expect that moving around is at least nominally harder for her than it is for Hanako. But it's none of my business, and I naturally don't ask about it from Hanako. Despite the relative proximity of our seats, neither tries to strike up a conversation about that or anything else either. So an impressive silence falls upon the classroom. Time passes in silence. It's probably just 15 minutes or so, but it feels longer. I turn pages on my notebook. Hanako turns pages of the novel she's reading. My pencil lead splinters against the paper just when I was about to finish a paragraph. The sounds of my irritated sigh and subsequent fumbling around for a sharpener feel like they're breaking the mood in the classroom. Hanako keeps her eyes firmly away from my direction. Before long, Lily's tall figure appears in the doorway. Hanako? Her name is all it takes to make Hanako jump up from her desk and run to Lily. They talk quietly for a moment, but it isn't long before Lily leaves down the hall and Hanako idles back into the classroom, taking her seat once again. I watch Hanako out of the corner of my eye, out of sheer curiosity at the idea that the two would be separated. For a couple of minutes, she does nothing but sit with her chin in her hands, staring at the desk dejectedly. The boredom evidently becomes too much for her, though, her slender frame reaching into her bag and pulling out a small book. Come to think of it, that isn't the one I saw her reading at the library. She must be quite a fast reader to get through them at this rate. But why would Lily leave her to her own devices? It seems to be quite out of the ordinary, going by Hanako's reaction. That's right. I think Lily mentioned something about going into town today before Rin bumped into us. The thought of that walk makes me look outside. The bright sun and occasional people wandering around and enjoying the afternoon makes me yearn to get out of the school, or at least do something other than sit here. Giving into one of my worst vices, procrastination, I decide that history is a subject best studied on a Sunday, or a Monday, or on any day other than this one. I give a grunt as I lever myself out of my seat, briefly debating with myself whether or not to hang out with Kenji. He doesn't strike me as the enjoying the nice weather outside with others kind of person, really. I guess I'll catch up with him later. Changing tacks, I briefly entertain the idea of talking with Hanako, but by the time I look at her seat, it's vacant. She must have left for the library. There's gotta be something to do that can kill the time. Yeah. Woo! Yeah, this one's pretty much in the past. Let's go to the library. The library seems as good a place as any to go. Hanako looked at us as if she was taken pretty off guard by Lily leaving, so she might want someone to talk to. Slinging my bag over my shoulder, I make my way out of the classroom. I walk down the hallway to the library, past a multitude of closed doors. Through each one, the sound of furious rehearsal can be heard. Rock music blares out of one door, almost as loud as a concert. I guess that's one of the advantages of a private school. There are actually enough rooms to go around at a time like this. That's the correct use of a semicolon. Both of these sentences speak something different on the same subject, so they need to be connected. They just say it in a different way. This provides emphasis on what this sentence was exactly saying, just needing some kind of pause, more so than a comma. That's the correct use of a semicolon. And when I think about it, the grounds and buildings of the school are kept in pretty good condition. That can't be too cheap. I've heard that this place has some pretty serious benefactors. The walls of the library only partially insulate the noise of the festival preparations, but they're the only sounds to be heard. Not a soul stirs here, with everyone apparently enjoying the weather outside or working on festival events. Yuko isn't here either. Maybe she doesn't work on Saturdays. I quietly walk through the library, now fairly familiar with its layout. I head to the back where Hanako's private little corner is. I run my hand along the spines of the books on the way through, feeling the individual texture of each as I glance across the titles. I used to do this all the time at the library at the hospital. Some things never change, I guess. Like the smell of a library, no matter how much care you take, the paper and books is always going to degrade with time. Probably no matter what library you go into, anywhere in the world, it must have that same musty smell. I find something that looks light enough to read without any major thought involved, then look for Hanako in the reading area. Once again, she is sitting on a beanbag with her back to a bookshelf. Reading the same book she had in the classroom, she is slowly making her way through the pages. Unlike last time I saw her here, I quietly take a seat in a beanbag. The noise is enough to catch her attention but not startle her. This delicate routine that must be followed each and every time I try to talk to her almost feels like hunting game. Is that the same book as before? Yes, I almost finished it. Cool. I wonder if I should. Do you mind if I borrow it when you're finished? My mouth is faster than my mind, it seems. Sure. You may not like it, but... No, I'm not going to use that voice. I'm sure it can't be that bad. After all, you stuck it with it, haven't you? I guess. I settle into my beanbag and set about reading my own book that had been buried in my bag. It's a light novel about pirates. To be honest, I'm barely skimming over the words, having chosen the book merely because it belongs to a different genre than I usually read. Finding it hard to muster enough enthusiasm to finish the book, and noting that I've been inadvertently distracted Hanako quite a bit, I decide to try and make conversation. So, I see Lily left without you. She nodded before taking her eyes off her book. She must have been really into it after all. Lily said she had to go and meet someone. Oh? Akira, her sister. Sister? I haven't heard her talk about her family. She and Akira used to live together. I thought all the students lived in the dorms. We don't have to. But it's easier, right? I mean, there's food here and we're close to school. I don't think I've ever been to class on time so often in my life. Her badly hidden smile proves quite rewarding. In the back of my mind, I know I have a bit of homework to catch up on, but it's quite comfortable in here. No one can find me and force me into working for their pet project either. Though now that I'm thinking about it, the festival, another question pops up. Hey Hanako, what are you doing for the festival? For a split second, I think that Hanako is about to throw her book in the air from shock. So sorry? I was just asking what you're doing for the festival tomorrow. Anything planned? I don't know. Hanako answers in the way that people do when they don't want you to ask any more questions. I take it large crowds and loud music aren't really her thing. Oh, okay. Change the subject. Change the subject. So what's Lily's sister like? She's nice. She's pretty like Lily, but she dresses businesslike. Businesslike? She's always wearing a suit. Ah, I see. And that makes her less pretty somehow. Hanako gives an embarrassed shake of her head. No, just different. I'll admit it, this has got me intrigued to hear Hanako talk about someone other than Lily as a first, and to be complimentary about it too. But as I try to picture this mystery sister, all I can think of is Lily in a suit, and I can't imagine that not being attractive, not at all. Well, one day you'll have to introduce me to her. Okay. Our brief conversation ends as abruptly as it started, and we both return to our novels. The passage of time is marked only by the gradual movement of the patch of light cast through the window. Slowly the noises from the various rehearsals in the building fade out and die as students start to get hungry and tired. Just thinking about that makes my stomach start to turn knots around itself. I think it's time to head back. Do you think Lily would be back by now? I think I might head back to my dorm. I'm pretty tired from this week. And not a word of that is a lie. Moving to a new school as it ramps up for a major event has been taxing, to say the least. I can feel myself nodding off as I read my book. Okay, I might stay here a little longer. Looking at Hanako's book, I can see that she is only a few pages away from completing it. For a moment I consider hanging around until she finishes, but once again my stomach turns, emitting a gurgling sound. Sure thing. Well, I'm going to head off before it gets dark. I'll see you around, okay? Okay. See you, Hasao. Later. Hasao? Thank you for hanging out with me. I can see how hard it was for her to get that simple sentence out of her mouth. It leaves me hanging for a moment. So, there is someone in this school who is even lonelier than me. Maybe lonely is a wrong word. I haven't been lacking company for this first week. But I've still managed to feel somewhat alone and detached. Maybe lonely is a wrong word for Hanako too. She has Lily after all, doesn't she? I realize I've been standing there far too long without answering and pull off a flawless, not too exaggerated smile. You're welcome. Good night, Hanako. Night. I leave her to finish her book and head back to the dorms and the promise of food. Back here, I guess. The next day I wake up feeling a little lightheaded. It's almost noon already. Sleeping late is fine since it's a Sunday and there are no classes. Not just a Sunday though, but the festival as well. From my window I can already see some people at the soba booth slinging noodles on the plates for people with a craving for low quality food. I throw back a handful of my morning meds and ponder how to spend the day. There will be a few exams in the coming week, but I don't consider those as ominous as others, so I'm not as worried about them as I probably should. With no urgent obligations regarding education, I should be free to spend the day as the festival as I like. Finishing my morning routine, I exit into the hallway, intending to go out and find something to eat. Passing by his door, I decide to see what Kenji is up to today out of impulse. I'm curious if he has any plans since everyone is doing something. Then again, I can picture him having built a soundproof shelter in his room. Or possibly something like a fort, complete with no girls allowed sign, and with the girls crossed out and body crudely scrawled underneath it. Knocking on his door, which is luckily devoid of any kind of sign, I hear again the unsettling clicking of at least 10 locks being pulled back. The door opens up a crack. Who is it? You're supposed to ask that before you open the door. Oh, it's you. Damn, it's early. It's not really that early. What is it, man? Nothing. Was just gonna ask what you're gonna do today. Half of the school is out there already. Out there? Well, where? Why? What? What? Is today special? Why are they there? Who are? I can hear them. It's loud. Don't tell me. Has the invasion begun? He suddenly looks more alarmed. What day is it, man? Yeah, I guess you can't see the big wooden booths outside and people selling stuff. What the hell are you talking about? I have my curtains closed at all times with thwarts of snipers. It's the festival. You know that, right? Oh, shit. That's today? Ah, damn. Damn it. I can't believe I forgot. I don't have my fort finished yet. This is bad. This is going to be a very bad day. It's good you told me this, man. This is going to be a bad day. Why? Oh, man, they're going to be everywhere. The people outside my window, socializing. Kenji rubs his temples nervously, suddenly looking very ill. It's going to be loud as hell. Damn. Now it's going to go out today. But now it's ruined. Everything is ruined. This is awful. This sucks. This sucks. What the hell? This really sucks. I can't go anywhere now. There's nowhere to run. Kenji seems nervous. You could even say he's majorly freaking out. I can't believe this. So that's what today was. Damn, and I couldn't even prepare for it. I couldn't even brace myself, and now it's here and I can't do anything. You should have told me this earlier, dude. I mean, at least I know, but I could have known earlier. Imagine what I could have accomplished. Sorry, I thought you knew. So I guess you're not going to do anything today. The weather is even good. Yesterday was really windy, so I thought today would be cold. It's not though, so there's no reason to just stay inside. Yeah, you should check the festival out. Kenji groans and covers his face with his hands. No, I can't do it. They'll eat me alive out there, I know it. That has to be a joke, but he said it with such a straight face, relatively straight. What are you going to do? We should hang out in here. You can help me build my fort. We might still make it if we work together. I don't know, I'm pretty hungry, so I thought I'd get some food first and then check out the attractions. The class project seemed pretty cool and I gave a hand with it, so I want to see at least that one and chat with Lily, I guess. Speaking of that, don't you have any obligation for the project? Are you out of your mind? That blind broad is up to no good. I can feel it in my spleen, man. Her presence is like a dark shadow that's in the way of my great vision. As expected of blind people. What? Besides, I thought that you were also... He holds up his hand to interrupt me. Only legally. Metaphorically, I can see farther than any man before me has seen. Kenji looks stoically into the metaphorical distance to emphasize his statement, thrusting his chin forward to look manlier. Actually, it's just a corridor wall 2 meters away, but it's all the same. I can see the future of mankind, and it's a dark one unless the threat of women is stifled. They are everywhere. He fingers his scarf nervously, faster and faster, like he's trying to start a fire, then slowly begins to calm down once the panic attack finishes running its course. I'm gonna have to find some place to hide in, a safe haven, and then knock the lights out of myself so that I don't have to experience this horrible day. I have the perfect thing for that. I must prepare now. Don't go to the festival. Okay. Later, dude. The door slowly closes with a low creak, and I don't know how to feel about what Kenji just said. Woo! Yeah! Festival time! Waving at Kenji's window. Probably throw a rock or two. Alright, after buying a plastic plate of takoyaki from a stall belonging to the class next to ours, I take a seat in the school gardens and watch people pass as I attentively nibble away at the rather bland tasting item. I guess I shouldn't complain, it's better than nothing and it didn't cost much. As I look out towards the school, watching the people coming and going proves a surprisingly entertaining way of passing the time as I eat. Little children, accompanied by parents or grandparents, scamper about in the din from event to event, one hand dragging their company and the other bearing an oversized colorful snack. I can't help but notice the age range among the people here is skewed towards the elderly, something that I'd also noticed when I was walking around town. This must be one of those towns where the only people left are those that lived here their whole lives and are ardently refused to leave, and those wanting to live out the rest of their lives in one of the increasingly few tranquil places. I guess that also goes away to explaining how conservative Yamaku's school culture seems to be. Not that I mind one bit. I kinda like how calm Yamaku and its surroundings are. The heat, though, is another matter entirely. Sitting in one place for so long has focused my mind on how annoyingly humid it's getting, now that the hottest part of the day is here. Gah! I didn't even click on anything. The sound of the carillon bells takes me completely by surprise as I stand up, and a reaction shared by a few of the people strolling around as well. Sorry, 1 second. I just gotta take a break, man. It's like so much reading. So much reading. Just listen to the sounds for a second. The PA system crackles to life after the tolling bells in. Its age shows as the principal makes a barely intelligible announcement over it, officially opening the festival that's very much in full swing. It's quite amusing to contrast the pleasant smiles of the older folk against the alternatively pained and bored grimaces of their younger charges. The students, on the other hand, seem to pay a little heed. Nevertheless, as the address finally ends, all are united in polite, if not overly enthusiastic applause, and then get back to business. Slipping a hand in my pocket to look as relaxed as possible, I casually glance around for something to do. It's somewhat difficult to see very far with all the people around. I decide to fall back on a tried and trusted rule. Go where everyone else seems to be gathering. Right now, that's the school courtyard and surroundings. Throwing the used plate in a trash can, I make my way towards the school building. Seeing the number of stalls around the perimeter of the school building surprises me. Quite a few of the classes must have opted to have multiple stalls. In deciding which to visit first, I catch sight of a familiar banner with a blue patterned border and red text. Lily's stall is as good a place to start as any. I'm curious as how it's going after all the work she and her class have been doing for it. That's really nice. Stepping up to it, I begin to see why the class took so long to organize everything. Easily twice as wide as many of the other stalls and with equipment for cooking strewn everywhere, it's closer to an outdoor restaurant than a festival event. If it was so much bigger than all the other stalls, then why was that appointed to the blind class? Why didn't you give like something that was like a big project to the blind class? That's backwards. Hey, this booth is gonna be twice as big. Who should we assign this to? Oh, I know, the blind people. Why? Because they can do it. What? As the student in front of me takes a bowl of noodles and leaves, I walk up to the counter. The girl behind us seems quite exasperated and asks me to wait a moment before she disappears underneath the counter. Seizing a moment, I take a quick glance around. Steam seems to be rising from everywhere as pots and pans simmer away. The most blind of the students are unpacking ingredients while being helped by someone who is probably the teacher of grade 2. It doesn't take long to notice Lily among them, talking with the teacher as she quickly counts the boxes and packets with her fingers. From her expression and the fact that both she and the teacher seem to be in a state of mild confusion, it appears that there's been some problem in coordination. Before I can stare any longer, the girl behind the counter pops up again, only to look back and ask where the spare change box is. Lily pauses for a moment before she and the girl switch places at the counter, and the teacher quickly walks off somewhere. Sorry about that, we're having a few problems. What would you like? It takes me a second to remember what I'd come here for. My eyes quickly dart to the side to read the menu sitting on the counter. Oh, I guess miso soup. Is that Hisao? Yep, looks like you're pretty busy. Her face all but confirms it as she drops her waitress facade. Whoops. Somewhere along the line our order got mixed up. We are trying to fix it now, but it looks like we only have half of what we needed. Wouldn't serving smaller portions cover over the problem? It seems like that's what we'll have to do, though I wish we didn't. The fact that a good half of our class is gone doesn't help either. I glance behind her to see how many people are actually operating the stall. It couldn't be over about 8. I take it that's why your teacher left. That's right, she's going to try and round up a few more of her classmates to help. Hearing the sound of footsteps behind me, I stealthily glance backwards to see an elderly couple taking a place in a line. I guess I'd better stop loitering around and chatting. Here's some money for the soup. Soup? Alright, coming right up. Lily turns and calls for a bowl of miso soup as I hand over the money for it. Taking the coins in her palm, I can't help but notice how efficiently she counts them out with her long tail fingers. Eventually satisfied that I've handed over correct change, she puts it into a small metal tray. It isn't long before the soup is made and carefully handed to her, after which she turns and subsequently passes it to me. Thanks, I'll come back to drop off the bowl. Thank you, Sal. Oh, there is one other thing. Have you seen Hanako? Hanako? No, not today. Why? She gives a small sigh of abject disappointment. It's okay, I was just wondering what she was doing for the festival. You come back when you're done, then? Sure, I'll keep an eye out for Hanako, too. Thank you, Sal. I walk off from the stall and find a seat, carefully cradling the steaming wooden bowl in both hands. Compared to the dumplings from before, this is quite nice. A little cool compared to what it probably should be, perhaps, but the flavor is enough to cover for that reasonably well. As I drink, I can't help but feel somewhat guilty for not being as involved in the festival as the others. It can't really be helped, considering I was dropped into the school only a week ago, but it still weighs heavily on my mind. That and the fact that a few of the students don't really seem to be enjoying the festival as much as the visitors. Eventually I finish my bowl and leave for the stall to drop it off. Considering that there seems to be no line at all, I take my time walking up. It seems the teacher's mission paid off. There are now over a dozen students helping and much of the unpacking has been done. Despite most of them seeming quite relaxed as they work, Lily still appears to be somewhat distressed. Lily doesn't look impressed at all, and I can't really blame her. On top of her issues with her stall, she still seems to be worried about Hanako. I can't really help her with the former, so I guess the only way I can help is by trying to take her mind off our shy mutual friend. Placing the bowl back on the counter, I call out to Lily. Hey Lily, don't worry about Hanako. I'll go find her and hang out with her, okay? I can see Lily's relief plainly written across her face. Thanks, Sal. If you see anyone from my class, can you tell them to come back here, please? Will do. Have a good one. Make sure you don't take a break, okay? I will if I can. See you later, Sal. I leave Lily in the stall and head out in search of Hanako. In a way, I feel bad for her, leaving her with the crowds, but even though she was clearly under pressure, I can't help but think that she was enjoying herself. The halls are packed with swaying crowds meandering through the festival. If there's one thing I know about Hanako, it's not that she's... Okay, stop with that voice. It's not that she's not going to be anywhere near this. And with the students showing their friends and family their dorms, and that should be there either. Following blind intuition, I move against the grain of the crowd. She's in the library. Thankfully, this crowd seems to be slightly less festive than our usual festive crowd. I assume this is out of consideration for the student body. The body. Yeah, this semicolon's out of place. That doesn't belong there. As I force my way through the masses, it doesn't take long for them to thin down into nothingness. Whew. Ooh, it's a lot of reading. Ooh. Oh, that's a lot of reading. Alright, let's continue. This is not surprising since I am standing before the library. Even the most eager of students don't bother to show anyone this section of the school. As I enter the library, the noise of the festival fades into a dull background noise, and soon I am in the reading area at the rear of the room. Behind one of the partitioned desks, I see the top of a head with straight, dark hair catching my eye. Hey, Hanako, I had a feeling I'd find you here. The head jumps a little in shock before slowly peeping over the partition. Sal? Hey, Lily's pretty busy, so she sent me to find you. Oh, do you want to sit down? Actually, I'm feeling a little hungry. Would you like to get something to eat from one of the stands? I brought some food, so... I shouldn't be surprised, but it was worth a try. Expecting her to go outside today was a long shot. How about we eat in the tea room? I passed by it on the way here, and no one was around. We can make some food there, and it'll be a little more comfortable. What do you say? Sure, let's go. Hanako closes her book and puts it away with deliberate practice movements. Good to go? Yeah. We walk side by side from the library to the tea room. As expected, there is barely a soul around. If it weren't for the murmurs through the walls, you wouldn't tell that there was a huge festival going on outside. Hanako carries her bag in both hands and focuses on just the floor ahead of her. Every now and again, she seems to break her pace a little and steps in slightly shorter paces. The first time it happened, I gave it no mind, but I soon noticed that she does it on a regular basis. Are you all right? She stops dead in her tracks. What? I don't know. It looked like you were tripping or something. A pink blush rises into her cheeks as her gaze returns to the floor. It's nothing. You know, when you say nothing like that, people are inspired to ask further questions. For a second, I don't think she is going to answer. Prepared to leave it be, I almost set off walking again when... It's a game. Game? Do you see the floor here? What a bizarre question. The floor looks just like any other floor, covered in those tiles made up from squares of linoleum. Nothing noteworthy. Well, yes, what about it? Sometimes, when there's no one around, I only step on the darker ones. Hanako's voice trails off as her explanation continues until I can barely hear her voice over the roaring silence of the empty hall. Darker ones? Shuffling her feet, Hanako points the toe of her shoe at a tile that is barely a shade darker than the others. Like these ones. Oh right, so these ones are no good? I point out a nearby tile. Yeah, something like that. Oh, I see. Do you play this game a lot? Hanako shakes her head. Just when the halls are empty? She nods. Well then, no point in stopping. I'm beginning to get really hungry. Blech. She nods again, this time with a little more enthusiasm. Well then, let's go. We set off down the hall, and this time I noticed that Hanako is paying a little less attention to the floor. I wonder, just how lonely does someone have to be to come up with a game like that? But before I realize what I'm doing, I find myself trying to aim each step so it lands on the correct tiles. The noise of the festival is slightly louder inside the tea room, but the breeze coming through the open window makes it worth it. Without thinking, I walk to the windowsill and inhale deeply. I sometimes forget how clean the air is here compared to back home. Would you like some tea? That would be great. Thanks. It occurs to me that this is the first time I've been alone with Hanako without her trying to be somewhere else. Turning from the window, I watch as she makes a simple pot of tea and arranges some sandwiches onto a plate. I've seen her do this before a number of times, but this time she seems slightly different. It's like she's calm. Eventually she places a small tray on the table and pours 2 cups of tea. The fresh scent of brewed tea mingles with the breeze, and for a second I feel like I'm the only one in the world. I think I know why you like this room now. I don't know what you mean. Well, there are quite a few people out there, but in here it's like another world. You can pretend that there's no one around for miles. You're right. It's like the world has forgotten this room. Because of that, you can forget about the outside. That would be appealing in some cases. As far as I can tell, conventional bullying doesn't exist in this school. But then again, I haven't seen a single person talk to Hanako besides Lily. If you're ignored by the world, a place where you can forget its existence would hold a special appeal. That's a good point. It's like this room gives you some kind of complete freedom. Yeah. Say, do you play chess? Chess? I've played it a bit, I guess. I take it you've played before? A little. Without saying anything more, Hanako moves to one of the cupboards and digs out a small chess set. Do you want to? Sure, why not? I cut her off, but she doesn't seem to mind. We arrange the pieces, and before long we are sending pawns charging to their inevitable fates. I take my time and intently examine each move and its consequences, nostalgia for the game taking second place to the matters at hand. For a time the game is a lengthy battle of attrition, but I spot an opening and tear a line in her defense. A few moves later, her king is cornered by several of my pieces. Checkmate! You're not bad at this, are you? In honest appraisal, her technique is pretty good, but several times I was able to exploit her lack of prediction. I pick up a piece and examine it. It looks relatively new, yet worn for its ages. I guess not. Does Lily play? The absence of Hanako's answer causes me to think about my question. A bit. This is the first time I've played against someone, other than her, or... She cuts herself off abruptly, leaving the answer hanging in the air. Someone she knew before coming to Yamaku. Maybe. Well then, I'm honored to have played against you. Can we play again? She asked as if she were asking me to cut off my own hands. The spirit of competition's gone into her? Sure, though don't expect me to go easy on you this time. Not that I was before, mind. She seems to appreciate the competitive tone. Same here. As we are setting up the pieces, there is a noise at the door. Good afternoon. Lily. Oh, hey there, Lily. Are you finished? You both are here? Wonderful. At any rate, our teacher managed to round up some extra help, so I was able to leave. Have you been here since you left? Pretty much, we've just been playing a bit of chess. Would you like a cup of tea? Actually, I think it may be a good idea to go outside for a little while. The instant drop in Hanako's face shows her objection to this plan, even though she says nothing. I feel strangely compelled to voice what is plainly in a view on her face, but Lily can't see. I kind of think that we should just stay here. Really? It's so crowded here that I was thinking that we should leave the school and head for the local tea house. You mean the Shanghai? Of course, with everyone at the festival, it should be practically empty. Tea house? Oh, that's right, you probably don't know of it. There is a tea house not far from here, which we go to every so often. Sounds like a plan. Hanako, what do you think? Hanako jumps a little at being forced into the conversation, but at least she seems less distraught than before. If it's to Shanghai, I think it'll be nice. Well then, it's settled. Let's be on our way. Hanako and I rise from the table in our preempted chess game. Before I can do anything, Hanako has poured the pieces into a small container and placed the board away. Looks like we're ready now. Please, lead on. Hanako moves to Lily's side and we venture into the school's corridors. The pair leads me through a series of unfamiliar doors and we emerge on the side of the building opposite of the festival grounds. Insulated by the heavy stone of the building, the noise from the crowd is faded to a murmur. Strange, I thought that most people would be beginning to leave by now. They're probably here to view the fireworks. Fireworks? Yes, apparently the school puts on quite a show. A lot of people come from town just to watch them. Lily's decision to leave the school ground seems to make sense now. Hanako would probably have a hard time with the whole town descending onto the school, or ascending, as the case may be. Whoops. For the second time since arriving in Yamaku, I find myself walking down this road with Lily. Only now that I can barely hear the incessant noise of the festival do I realize how loud it was. I can hear my ears ringing slightly in the still evening air as they recover from the day's assault on them. Hanako clings to Lily, but still manages to guide her along the road. That and avoiding the occasional gaze from curious pedestrians appears to be completely sapped her constitution. She rarely raises her focus from the ground in front of her, nor does she utter a word. Lily, on the other hand, maintains her prim and proper persona, just as she does in the school. It's obvious she purposely puts effort into her appearance, rather than hiding it as Hanako does. It's striking how different they are in their way of holding themselves outside of Yamaku's grounds. That said, it's obvious in both their cases that they do visibly change. Inside Yamaku, everyone is special, which negates the specialness of it. But once we venture outside the school gates, we are returned to the status of outsider and generic labels. Especially when we are still in school uniform. It's like hanging a sign around your neck challenging people to figure out what is wrong with you. I'm surprised that so many of the students keep it on. Then again, with canes and wheelchairs common among the students, I guess it's not really that much of a giveaway. Or maybe I'm the only one that sees this as a stigma? Maybe you get used to it after a time like any other school uniform. Alright. And I'm gonna hold off. Call this a video. Yep, that's going to be the end of this video. I want to thank you for watching. Feel free to leave a comment. I hope you have yourself a good day. I love you. And this is Sweet Tooth, signing off.